Once upon a time, there was a boy named OSITA. He was 12 years old and he lived with his mother Onyekachi, as well as his two sisters Ugochi and Nkechi in a village of Okudo. OSITA was his mother's favorite child, her only son, and her golden son as she fondly called him. In Okudo, only a woman with a son is accorded respect. It was a tradition that pushed many women to do unthinkable things to have a male child, and Onyekachi had to wait for 10 years before she conceived OSITA. To her, OSITA was her pride because his birth made her a real woman in the eyes of other women in the village. One day, OSITA was on his way back from school when he saw a woman walking by the roadside. OSITA rushed behind her and snuck his hands into her bag and grabbed her purse. The woman did not notice what OSITA had done, so OSITA happily left with the purse. On getting home, OSITA rushed to his room and emptied the contents of the purse. He found some money and other valuables inside, but what OSITA did not know was that the woman he just stole from was on her way to buy some medications to save her dying child, and the money he stole was borrowed from people in her community. OSITA was so happy and immediately went to the roadside kiosks to buy some sweets, biscuits and drinks. On his way back from the kiosk, he met his mother, who was on her way to the evening market. She saw the items in his hands and asked how he got them, but OSITA mumbled and fumbled with his words. But since his mother was in a hurry, she did not probe further, but left him to go to the market. OSITA ate the sweets and biscuits with joy, not knowing the woman he stole from just lost her child because she could not provide the medication that would have saved her life. One morning, whilst OSITA's mother was cleaning the house, she came across the strange purse in OSITA's room and asked how he got the purse. OSITA lied that he had never seen the purse in his life and told her to ask his sisters instead. She asked everyone, but no one seemed to recognize the purse, so she threw the purse away and never revisited the issue. One fateful day, OSITA went out to the market square and saw an old man sleeping by the roadside. He walked towards the man and grabbed his bag, the bag that was laying on the floor. As he was about leaving with the bag, the old man woke up and began to scream, "Thief, thief, thief, grab that boy, he stole my bag. Thief, 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 grab that boy, he stole my bag." OSITA began to run and run and run. But some boys caught up with him and began to beat him up. Some people in the market square recognized OSITA, especially one small boy, and he ran to go call OSITA's mother. When she heard this, she immediately ran to the market square and caught sight of people surrounding OSITA. She immediately rushed into their midst to shield OSITA, and without caring to know what OSITA had done, she began to fight them and hurl insults at them. She called them liars, stating that her son OSITA was incapable of stealing and that they were all jealous of her and wanted to harm her only son. The old man approached her and narrated everything that happened to her, but she began to insult the old man, calling him names and warned him never to call her son a thief. Then she grabbed OSITA's hands and took him home. Immediately they got home, she nursed his wounds and gave him some food to eat and asked him to retire to bed afterwards. OSITA kept on stealing, and whenever people complained to his mother, she would fight them and protect her son. Even his sisters have tried severally to talk to his mother about the consequences of her actions, but she will warn them never to forsake their own for strangers. She will say that OSITA was their brother and they were meant to protect him at all costs. Their mother Onyekachi never wanted to believe that her golden son was a thief, so she was always defensive when reports got to her, and this carried on for years. One day, when OSITA was 27 years old, this was 15 years later, he was no longer living in the village with his mother. OSITA had graduated from the university and was now living in the city with his friends. He was in a gang that terrorized people in the city, and they made a lot of money from their robberies. OSITA would visit home once in a while with big and expensive cars, and his mother would dance and dance and dance, hailing him while she sprays money on her. His mother never bothered to ask him where he got the money from, and she never cared to investigate the source of her son's wealth, but carried on spending his money to make other women in the village jealous. She was the envy of every woman in the village, as she would use any given opportunity to show off her expensive gold jewelries. Many women began to pressurize their sons to go to the city to make money like OSITA. Some even approached Onyekachi to please talk to Osita to find jobs for their sons, if only they knew. This went on until one fateful day when Osita and his friends went to rob a very wealthy man. They got an intel that the man had so much money locked up in one of his rooms, so they decided to rob him of the money, not knowing that this was a trap. Once they got into the house, the police immediately caught them and drove them to the station. Osita's mom heard of the news in the village and immediately traveled to the city to see her son. Osita was now in jail and he was so bitter. He regretted all the terrible things he had done in the past and wished he had lived a better life, but it was too late. Osita was sentenced to life in prison, and on the day of his sentencing, he begged to hug his mother before they took him away, and when his mom rushed to hug him, Osita bit off her ear and spat it to the ground and said, "This is for all the wrong things you watched me do without cautioning me. It is your fault that I turned out this way. I will never forgive you." Then they took him away and his mother cried bitterly, holding her blood-filled ear. The lesson to be learned from this story is that training up a child is a deliberate act. If a child does something wrong, caution the child, because leaving a child to do whatever they deem fit is not the way to show a child that you love him or her. Train up a child in the way that he should go, so that when he grows, he will not depart from it. This is the end of the story. Please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. It helps our channel grow. See you in my next story.